information that we are sharing today is our own personal experience and does not constitute as medical advice. We do not endorse any products or services. Any said products or services mentioned on this podcast may not be suited for you or your condition. Please consult your physician before making any medical decision. Today's episode is sponsored by the Wolfen Chair in Digital Health. The Can Do study, a Canada-Netherlands network in precision medicine in childhood arthritis and rheumatic disease, will allow doctors and families to quickly know who needs biologics, which biologics works best for their individual child, and when can the biologic be safely stopped.
Canadian and Dutch physician researchers formed an alliance, Can Do, together with patient and industry representatives and policymakers to develop the first genomics-based, low-cost biomarker blood test to rapidly identify the best treatment for each individual child, completely transforming the care of childhood arthritis. More about how they want to achieve this will be featured in future episodes.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to this week's episode on Take a Pain Check. We're very excited to announce this week's guest, Megan Green. Megan is 41 years old and happily married for 20 years with 2 children, a daughter aged 18 and a son aged 20. She resides in Orange Park, Florida, and enjoys spending time with her family and has a passion for fashion and beauty. Hi, Megan. We're so happy to have you on today. Can you start off by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about your condition?
Oh, okay. Well, like she said, my name is Megan, and I do live in Florida. I grew up most of my life in Ohio, moved to Florida when I was just married at age 21. So I've been here for quite a while. Gosh, my journey. It's been a rough one. It's been a very rough one. I've had a lot of medical issues throughout the course of my life, a lot. But honestly, like 2014 was kind of like the break for me. I actually broke my tailbone, and that's kind of when everything just started to downward spiral. Had to have surgery. The surgery never, like I had 4 surgeries. They never healed. So I have a chronic wound on my tailbone that to this day, from 2014, still has not healed from surgery. And a lot of the pain started happening shortly thereafter the first few surgeries. Joint pain, swelling, just being fully miserable. Miserable. I'll never forget the first time that I had the worst pain, the start of the worst pain for me as far as like my rheumatoid arthritis. I was going to beep the horn at my daughter with both of my hands like this, and I got these shooting pains all the way, like from both hands, all the way into my wrists, my thumbs locked up. It was the worst pain. And I was like, that's really unusual. After that, it started getting worse and worse. And it's, like with any autoimmune disease, you start with certain symptoms and then they just continue to progress. Like I said, mine were swelling, lots of joint pain. I started getting these horrible red rashes when I was either in the heat too often or walking too much, and they would just stay, like they were just massive red rashes on my legs, and they would stay there for a day or 2. My feet would swell up, my legs would swell up. I'd have massive edema, which edema is swelling of, your ligaments because of water retention, what have you. And it would get bad. Like my legs would get triple the size that they normally are. And I'm like, something's just not right. So I went in to see an RA doctor, rheumatoid arthritis doctor, and they did the testing. They came back and said, yep, you have rheumatoid arthritis markers. And we're going to start you on, they started me on prednisone, a very low dosage of prednisone. And a very low, I would have to, I can't even remember now, but they started me on a very, very low dosage because of the fact that I had the wound on my tailbone. They didn't want to start me on anything like too strong for the RA medicine because it could affect the healing process of my wound. So I started that, was on that for about a year. I mean, it was okay. It wasn't helping tremendously, but it was helping enough.
Yeah.
Then my insurance changed. And they said I could no longer see this rheumatoid arthritis doctor. When I say that I had to go to this new doctor, and she told me, oh, you're too young. Now, mind you, you guys know, because you're young. I was 36 at the time, so not that young. She says, you're too young to have rheumatoid arthritis. We're going to trick your body into thinking you don't have it.
Wait, what? Whoa, what? Wow.
Yes.
So this was your doctor who said
Yeah, it was the brand new rheumatoid arthritis doctor that I saw one time. Took me off all of my medications. I had nothing. I fought for 2 years to get back into my original rheumatoid arthritis doctor. I had to fight my insurance company and say, listen, like, this is not, like, how are you going to do that? Luckily, I got back into her because, you know, over that 2 years, no medication, symptoms just getting worse and worse and worse. The first time I went back in to see the original RA doctor, she did a full panel of blood work. She did all the testing that she needed to do. Went back in for my checkup, and she says, I've got more news for you. What's that? You have lupus.
Oh my gosh. So in total, how many diagnoses do you have right now? Like,
I have fibromyalgia. I have rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, which lupus and RA kind of can coincide together. To be honest with you, there's a lot of similarities to them. With lupus, your autoimmune, where am I going with this? Your body basically, your autoimmune system just basically attacks itself and attacks anything healthy that's going on. So it attacks your joints, it attacks your liver, your heart, your kidneys, and it just, again, it's alongside of rheumatoid arthritis. So for the longest time, I thought it was just RA when no. But I have that, and then I also have high blood pressure, which they think is caused from all of the stress that my body has been under. So, yeah.
So what do you think kind of sparked all of these triggers? I know you mentioned like your tailbone, but do you think there's like anything else that, like something that you believe might have caused all of these diagnoses and kind of like your journey? Like usually like someone would think, oh, it's stress or something like that. Like, what do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I had a hysterectomy when I was 25 also. Because like I said, I've had a lot of medical issues growing up, like just full on. And so I lack a lot of hormones. So there's one factor that can cause your body to completely go out of whack. And a hysterectomy, for those that don't know, that's completely removing any, your uterus, your ovaries, like anything female related. I was having some major issues with that. So they went in and they took that out. But stress causes, like stress from the tailbone, the lack of hormones, and the pain that I was going through on a daily basis, I think kind of just threw my body into a complete spiral, and that's where it took me.
During like this whole diagnosis process, did you feel ever like that second doctor that you went to, did you ever feel like maybe she was right, that you were too young for RA and like it really affected your mental health in that way?
Absolutely. I mean, I know, you know, these typical diseases in general can affect our mental health regardless. I mean, you know, across the board. But with her telling me you're too young, you know, there's no way that you can have it. I kept thinking to myself, could this just be like in my head? Like, could I just be manifesting these, you know, pains, these symptoms? But at the same time, it's really hard to manifest, you know, rashes on your body, your legs swelling up triple the size. And the pain was just so severe all the time that I would cry myself to sleep. And I couldn't sleep because I was so miserable that, you know, I knew that there was something there. I knew, and like I said, the first doctor told me. So, you know that there's something there, but then you kind of question yourself, like, should I try something else? Should I listen to her?
Yeah. And in general, like on a day-to-day basis now, what is kind of affected? So what are some of your symptoms that you usually get? Because you have so many different conditions, like what do you get every single day? Because I know that some people with, like, for example, we have JIA, juvenile idiopathic arthritis, and like we have a set amount of symptoms we can potentially get, but you have like fibromyalgia and lupus and RA and high blood pressure. So how does your daily life work in terms of symptoms?
Well, it kind of depends. It's like a day by day kind of thing. For me, a lot of it is like major joint pain, you know, fingers, legs, knees, toes, the whole nine, like it's across the board. And then, like I said, I get edema very, very badly. If I'm walking too much, even if it's just the slightest bit, if I'm walking just a bit too much, I will swell up double the size, triple the size. Yeah. I'll get these rashes, like I said, those are awful. Lupus will also affect your skin as far as sun, because if you're out in the sun, and I didn't really notice that, I didn't know this, to be honest with you. It was newer in my, because I was just diagnosed in 2019, the end of 2019 with lupus. And my husband and I just started doing we love to go kayaking. He does the kayaking, I just sit and he does it. But I didn't realize that with lupus, the sun is a huge trigger. Mm-hmm. I ended up with 3rd-degree burns on my legs because the sunblock that I had on wasn't working. And it was the worst pain I've ever felt in my entire life. Worst. And so that's just another thing with lupus. You're very sensitive to the sun. Sleeping is here nor there. It just depends on how you're feeling, the weather that day. You know, if it's rainy or cold, you feel like everything's going to break, or too hot. In my case, you feel like everything's going to break. I've lost my hair. I've lost a lot of hair. I used to have like really beautiful, thick hair, not so much anymore. And as far as, and my nails, yes, these are fake, but my nails used to be really, this is all kind of like stupid stuff, but to me, this is stuff that's actually changed over the course of the last 2 years, especially. I used to have beautiful, thick nails. Now I can't even keep them. They break like that. So it's just different things that happen to your body that just change everyday life. Everyday life.
Yeah.
Like I said, the pain is the most important, like the worst part of it, because it doesn't matter what kind of medicine you're on or what you're doing. It can take the edge off, but it's not going to take it away.
Yeah. And you mentioned like hair loss and nails and stuff like that. Like, although other people may not think it's important, like I know I've had so much hair loss because of like methotrexate and the other drugs that I'm on. Like, other people may not think it's like such a big deal, but if they were to experience it, they'd understand that like even like being a girl, being a teenage girl, even a mother, everyone around you has like such nice hair, and you like go to the washroom and I literally see all this hair on the floor and I'm like, what is going on? And like I always ask my doctor, so like, is there anything I can take, anything I can do to get like more hair? Like right now it's kind of just like I know, like nothing. So I'm just hoping that my dosage like comes down and maybe some hair starts to come back. But it's definitely not stupid, and it is valid to say that like hair, nails, like those are things that everyone kind of cares about. And if they had to experience that, then like I don't know what they do. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
No, and that's 100% true. As superficial as it might sound for somebody, like, you know, saying, "Oh, I'm losing." I mean, medicine alone, will help your hair fall out, and it changes. Like, it's changed the way that my hair grows in, and I do color my hair, but it also changes the way that the coloring takes your hair. But lupus in general makes your hair fall out. Like, my eyelashes were falling out, my eyebrows were falling out. Like, it just, like I said, it attacks your healthy tissue, your healthy everything. So it's constantly fighting against, you know, what you got going on. So medicine and lupus alone just
Oh man.
So what's your way of coping with all of that?
as far, I just learned to love myself, you know, as far as coping with the hair loss, coping with, there's really no way to cope with the pain per se. Like I said, you know, you take the medicine, you do what you have to do, and it takes the edge off, but it's never going to go away. But as far as like the superficial stuff, you learn to love yourself. You learn to find ways to make yourself feel beautiful on the outside, to kind of match how you're not match, because you're not feeling so beautiful on the inside, but to know your spirit, you know what I mean? To match your spirit and know how you're feeling.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I started doing what I was doing, because I hated feeling so down all the time, physically and mentally. Very depressed, you know, and it takes so much it gives so much depression to you and makes you just feel so vulnerable, you know what I mean? It just, so you kind of find ways to make yourself feel stronger, healthier, happier in other ways, whichever way you can. And my dog helps a lot. He keeps me happy.
Yeah.
What have you kind of learned from having to be a self-advocate with the insurance company and those things?
Y'all, you need to fight for yourself. No one's going to fight for you as hard as you're going to fight for yourself. It took, I guess, you know, it took me 2 years of paperwork, calling insurance, going through all the loopholes, saying, no, there's definitely something wrong. There's definitely something going on, and people not wanting to listen or telling you that it's in your head. You really have to know, you know, what you're saying, know what you're feeling, know what you're thinking, and make sure to express that. Don't sit on it. You know, if you sit on how you're feeling, no one's going to take you seriously. And I feel like some of the doctors these days, they're just so quick to, and I'm not bashing doctors by any means, but they're so quick to just say, here's some medicine. You know, it's really important to find a doctor that actually cares about you and cares about what you're going through. And I luckily found a great family physician that she'll sit with me for like an hour and just ask me, you know, hey, what's with this? What's with that? And she'll advocate for me as well. So it's really important to help yourself find somebody that's going to help, or not somebody, but a doctor that's going to help push that process along as well. You can't necessarily do it 100% yourself, but at the same time, you have to just be strong enough to say, I'm not giving up. Like, with any type of diagnosis, like anything that's going on, don't give up until somebody listens to you. I remember sitting at the Mayo Clinic, going through all of this stuff and just crying my eyes out because the doctor at the Mayo Clinic said that he wanted to do comfort care for me at age 34 because he didn't believe that anything was going on. Now, if you're not familiar with what comfort care is, that is what they do for people that are close to passing away or at a very horrible stage in their diseases or what have you. Mm-hmm. They basically keep them comfortable. Medicine. I'm not just wanting to sit around and be like, no, let's just keep me comfortable. Figure out what's wrong.
Yeah. That's a lot to hear. Like comfort care. Oh man, I think it's like you said, it's super important to find a doctor that will help you with what you have and support you. It definitely sometimes can be very challenging. Like I had the same challenge. I kind of had to skip through doctors to find the one that is really supportive and very open-minded to everything, because it's very difficult and challenging. But I think like when you get to that doctor, like everything kind of seems to be, I guess, more, you feel better and you're relaxed and you're like, okay, even though I have these conditions, I have someone who will take care of me and make sure that I'm okay. So that I totally agree with you. And like we mentioned earlier, you have 2 children, a daughter who's 18 and a son who's 20. Does it ever scare you that your children might have a risk of any of these diseases? If so, just like you can talk about it. Like,
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it scares me very much so, because these are types of diseases that can be passed down, hereditary. And just knowing, you know, what I've had to go through and what I'm dealing with, I would never ever want my children to have to go through something like that. It's not, you know, as a mom, you just never want your kids to suffer. You never want your kids to have to live with any of the stuff that you've had to live with. So, you know, I keep a close eye out. And if they start saying, well, this is going on or this is going on, you know, if I feel like it's something that could be worth looking into, then we would definitely look into it. Luckily, so far, they're very healthy and very wily little kids. Not little kids, big kids. They kill me if they say little kids.
So how old were your kids when you were diagnosed?
So I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis in 2014. So my daughter was 11, and my son would have been going on 14. And then I was diagnosed with lupus in the end of 2019. So my daughter would have been 7. Hold on, gotta do the math. 16. He would have been 18.
And how did they react to the diagnosis?
What was that?
How did they react to the diagnosis?
I mean, they've reacted they've had to see a lot growing up with me, as far as, like I said, I've had a lot of medical stuff pretty much since their entire lives. So they've seen a lot. They've witnessed me having seizures and syncopal episodes, and they've had to endure a lot, and I hate that for them and my husband. Like, I hate that so much, but they definitely give me a lot of strength and help me. I just wish that they would help me physically, you know, do laundry or dishes.
Oh, we love that. Yeah, I totally understand. Like, I don't even do like I even was like a parent who doesn't have a condition, they'd also say the same. Laundry and dishes. Well, yeah.
Or clean up after themselves when they're done cooking, or, you know. But they're pretty great kids. I mean, they're really great kids. They help out when they can, and they do what they can. But, you know, it's not been easy for any of us in this house, because, you know, one person with one issue, it just changes the whole dynamic of everything, you know?
Yeah. So you have a growing Instagram page of nearly 4.5K followers, where you share your passion for beauty and fashion. So what inspire you to start your page?
I kind of talked about it a little bit ago. So my biggest thing has always been, you know, when you feel like crud on the inside, as we do relatively often, it always just makes you feel so much better, even if it's just for that slight little bit of time, to make yourself, you know, look put together, you know, makeup or hair done or clothes, you know, that nice new outfit to go out into, or, you know, getting some makeup or what, you know, whatever it is that makes you feel your best. And so I really just wanted to help women and men that are struggling, and it doesn't have to be with a physical illness. It can be an emotional illness. It could be, you know, any of those, because that's going to make you feel like crud on the inside. I just want to make people feel, you know, it's okay to look and feel good, and one day look amazing and the next day look like you just woke up out of bed all day. And, you know, make people happy, make people laugh, because, you know, it's important to do, because laughter is what it kind of heals your soul. And I like laughing, and I like making people laugh and making people feel pretty and loved and important. So that's basically why I started it, just to help all of us.
How has this page helped you grow as a person?
Honestly, through this page and my Facebook, I have made some incredible friends that are like me. One of my very, very best friends, I met her through social media. She has a disease called Ehlers-Danlos, and it's similar to lupus. It's similar to RA, but there's a lot of other things that go along with it. And her and I just, it's kind of like you two, you know, her and I just have so much in common that it's so amazing to have somebody that you can talk to and share your good, your bad, your ugly, your otherwise in between. Because to be honest with you, throughout the course of all of this, since all of my medical stuff, I've lost a lot of friends. I've lost a family, because no one understands, you know, what you're going through. No one gets that going out isn't something that you feel up to.
Yeah.
They just don't understand it. So they kind of just, you know, move on with their life, and that's fine. We all move on. So it's important to find people that are like-minded, that can, you know, share in the triumphs and share in the lows. And that's one of the biggest things that has helped me through all of this, is communicating with people that are just like me.
I agree with that. I think most of the time, communication is always kind of the best way to go. And if people don't understand you, that's their loss. I'd say, like, you've been through a lot, and that just makes you strong and resilient. And honestly, like, having other people even invalidate you or tell you that, like, okay, like, that's weird, like, you're lying, anything like that, or anything of that sort, like, they're not worth it in the nicest way possible. It's definitely, like, I'm so glad that you found someone that you could talk to that understands you, because support is super important.
Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate you saying that. It's been a struggle, and not just physically, but emotionally, because I've had to, you know, figure out ways to cope with the losses, you know?
Yeah.
There's been a lot. So but you find ways, and you do it, and you just keep moving forward, because, you know, at the end of the day, we're worth it, and we're worth, you know, everything that we still have to offer.
Yeah.
So.
You're very on top of social media trends. How do your kids feel about that?
There are some of them that they're just kind of like, really, Mom? Really? Did you have to do that? I want so badly for them to do more, reels with me or TikToks with me, because I'm like, I would love to do this with my daughter. I would love to do this. And they're like, no. But they also know that it's kind of my way to cope and make people laugh and make myself laugh. I mean, I love laughing at myself. I am the biggest, I'm a dork. I'm 100% dork, and I am so fine with people laughing at me. I'm so fine with laughing at myself, because what's the point of taking life so seriously?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, TikTok and Reels are very entertaining. Like, I think I can spend like a good amount of my day just scrolling through the app and finding entertainment. And what's unique about it is that everyone kind of gets like their own, whatever they kind of like is what shows up on their page. So it kind of just like, fits everyone and their needs for entertainment.
right. You'll see a lot of me with my dog. Obviously, you guys can tell that I absolutely am obsessed with my dog. And I mean, right now he's trying to attack a gecko that's climbing the window. So he's never too far behind me. He's my shadow. But yeah, it's like you said, they take these reels and we put our own spin on them and make them just exactly what we want them to be. I don't know. I love making people laugh. I love making people smile. So
yeah. So we usually like to ask our guests for some pieces of advice. And what is one piece of advice you would give to those whose doctors don't believe that their symptoms are real and they're going through all of those emotions and feelings? What is an advice you would give them?
First of all, I would say take a long, hard look at yourself in the mirror and know that you need to fight for yourself. You know that you need this is your life, your one body, and you need to fight for yourself. Secondly, I would say if you can't get anywhere with your doctor, there's always other doctors out there. And like you said, keep looking until you find that doctor that's going to listen to you and say, all right, there's a valid point here. Like, there's something going on. Let's try and get down to the bottom of it. And I wouldn't stop until they do. If you know that something is wrong, it's wrong. I mean, it's like anything else, if you know you're not supposed to touch a hot stove, don't touch a hot stove. If you know your body is telling you, it's way off, like you're not right, it's time to go take it to the next doctor, until you finally get somebody that understands you.
Yeah.
So for those who are receiving multiple diagnoses, what would you want to say to them?
Take one diagnosis at a time. Learn as much as you can about, there's so much information out there about any of these diagnoses. And yes, Google is a great friend, but don't always Google your symptoms. Learn that the hard way. And then you're kind of like going down a rabbit hole. Talk to your doctor. Get as much information as you possibly can. Know what medicines you're taking and make sure that you're not, sometimes, usually the pharmacists are pretty good about it, but I've had situations where, medicines have kind of interacted with each other. So, know your medications, know what you're taking at all times. I have a little pamphlet that I keep in my purse that if the doctor asks, I'm like, this is what I'm taking, this is what I'm taking, this is what I'm taking. And, you just have to take it one diagnosis at a time, learn as much as you can, be proactive about each of your diseases, and, trying to do your due diligence and followed different things for your disease will help, as far as like diet and exercise and stuff like that. But listen to your body too. If you're not able to do exercise and all of that stuff, don't do it.
And to end us off, what is a message that you hope to spread throughout the community?
We're all worth it. We're all worthy of feeling our best, even if it's just putting on that makeup for the day, doing your hair, as hard as it can be. Try and give yourself a little bit of love, self-love every single day. Laughter, it helps.
So thank you so much, Megan, for coming on to our podcast today. We had such a great discussion, even though there was sad, things we had to get through and stressful things. You have made a platform that really helps a lot of people and spreads positivity and awareness. So thank you for coming on. And everyone, like, comment, subscribe, check out Megan's social media. We'll put it down below. And we'll see everyone next week on Take a Pain Check. Bye.
Thank you.